and welcome down to episode 156 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia. And the guy on your other screen or in your other ear if you're listening to the podcast, it's Cam Blake in Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Welcome back to the show, Cameron.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on again. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have a guest like yourself on from time to time.
Yeah,
Should we start with the rapid fire questions?
Yeah, we should do it. We should interview ourselves.
Interview each other. That's weird. I don't think we do that. I don't think we need to do that.
I think people know enough about us. Probably
when
too
are
much.
When are we on the other guys' podcast? That must be coming up at some point.
Which the Tom and Matt Excellent Adventure podcast?
No. The Camera Life guys.
The Shutter Inc. one.
No, the Camera Life.
Well, yeah, I think we might have to push that ourselves.
I know. Well, we were told that we were allowed to come on it, but anyway, I'm sure at some point we'll be on that.
Again, we've got to work out who goes first.
Okay, rock, paper, scissors. Sounds good. Thanks for everyone who has liked, followed, and subscribed to the YouTube channel. High into the 1200s now on the YouTube, so thank you very much. And everyone who listens to the show, shout out to you all walking the dog and at the gym and driving your car, or whatever you're doing, listening to the show. Comment below. Tell us what you do when you listen to the podcast. If you are one of the listeners, how can you comment below if you're listening and not on the YouTube? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Do you really want to know what people are doing when they're listening to us?
Yes, I do. I actually
God. All right, disclaimer, that was your brain idea, not mine.
Yes.
I reckon there's more people listening than watching. So maybe we should just give a shout out to the listeners from now on and stuff to watchers.
You know, people who listen to a photography podcast, hats off to you. I think it's great.
It's 99% visual and you're listening to it as audio.
It's brilliant. It's the best thing ever.
It's pretty special.
I love it. Now, Cam, we didn't have you last week. What have you been up to? Should we fill in the audience of what you were doing? I think you were seeing people off on the overland track, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I've had a busy sort of week. Yes, I was. So I had to go up to Cradle Mountain and let my group go. I wasn't able to go because of my issues I'd had. But I still was committed to getting them all set up and out on the track. They had a hot one. It was stinking hot the whole way. I saw some photos from, is it Tanina? I'm going to say Tanina, yes.
Tanina, yeah. And it appeared that a lot of the water courses were dry.
It was dry as one of those things.
It was dry.
It was dry. So I walked maybe an hour or so just to start with. And then I turned back and went, this is too hot, going home. But I got them on their way. And then, so that was on, it was on the Friday they left. Whenever we were going to record, we weren't able to do it. So, and then I sort of had a bit of a relaxing weekend. And then this last weekend, I've just come back from up the Northwest doing some work for the council, the local regional tourism council up there. And
I saw your digs. They look pretty good.
Yeah, I got spoiled. Yeah,
that was nice.
I might retire from this show and just go travel around taking accommodation shots. And
I could think of worse things to do.
Oh, mate, one of the places I stayed at, the attention to detail that those guys, Melinda and Craig from it was the Borrowdale estate in Stanley, stunning place. But so I was doing that, and then I made my way back around a couple of days ago to pick up the guys on the other end of the track.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a bit busy. So thank you to you, and thank you to your special guest, Michael, for filling in. That was a great episode.
It was, wasn't it? We'll circle back to that in a sec, but I have a question without notice. When you're on the overland track and it's so dry, what do you do for water?
You lick your sweat off your arms.
Yeah, okay.
No, so. The water tanks in the huts were still relatively full.
Right. Yep.
But they had to carry a lot more water with them.
Yeah.
So it was good friend.
The absolute antithesis of when we did it.
Total opposite. Well, it's funny you say that because good friend of the show, Cheryl, she took over leading the trip for me because I wasn't able to go. Yep. So she's been, and Lindsay, who was on our trip as well. She's gone from rain soaked for pretty much the whole week to not seeing water the whole trip. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's weird down here at the moment. We had a massive storm, like a huge storm come through here yesterday. There's all these fires have started again out in the west. There's more fires cranking up. Summer's here with a vengeance down here at the moment. It's dry on that west coast. Yeah. So it's not good. But so that's where I've been. And
don't think I can remember a better summer weather-wise here in Ocean Grove. Honestly, like it's been incredible. We've been fortunate to get rain. We could do with a bit more now, but it's it's just been amazing. We've had tourists out of Melbourne daily. They're coming down to go to the beach. So it's been rather busy. Last week's show with Michael.
Great
cool.
stuff.
It was a bit self-indulgent. I love my footy. and I love my photography, obviously, and Michael being a Swan Hill boy as well. So there's a few connections there for us.
There was a bit of fanboying going on there for a little while,
absolutely.
wasn't
I'm happy to say that there was, because I've admired his work for a long time. Jonesy's still up in the background. I was meant to cover him up, but he can stay there for another week. It's fine.
He's been retired for 25 years. That's okay.
Well, that's right. So it was brilliant, and we will talk a bit about that. A couple of things that Michael had to say. Photo of the month. From January, we had our People's Choice for February for that January competition. The winner of the People's Choice Award, in other words, people got on to our Facebook page and put up our top 10 for, was it top 5, top 10? Can't remember, whatever. Top 10 for January. And people voted for who they thought had the best picture. The winner of that gets a $50 gift voucher to Ocean Grove Camera and Photo. And Cameron, would you like to do the honors?
I will. The winner, with about a margin of about 4 or 5 votes, which was pretty good, was Sharon Thorogood with her beautiful shot of Cradle Mountain in the early morning. I was actually on that trip with her when she took that shot, and it was a stunning morning.
On the screen.
Brendan's made a little key for himself to put up on the screen now. I know how you work now.
That's right.
So well done, Sharon. It was a beautiful shot. It was a couple of close other entries, but you guys chose that one over the rest. So well done.
Love it. Well, Sharon, you've got a $50 credit with me at Ocean Grove Camera and Photo, so be in touch.
I know what she's asking for.
An OM1 Mark II.
No, slab of hard solo.
Yes. I had a great experience during the week. A customer picked up an OM1 Mark II and the 150-400.
Right.
Big white lens, and that's shout out to Gary. I know he's a listener to the show, and he's a very talented photographer already, but this has taken him to the next level again. And the one thing he keeps saying is he cannot get over how light it is.
Yep. It's crazy light.
Yeah, it is a very, very light. Like, you pick it up and you sort of give it these ones. You sort of, whoa, that's way lower than I thought.
You do. You overcompensate a bit for it. So when we get to our photo of the week, which will be very soon, that photo that I have is actually taken on the OM1 Mark I with the 150 to 400.
Well, without any further ado, now we have some feedback. We're going to put our photos of the week up, and we're going to make them full screen. So here is your photo of the week, Cameron. Bang, can you please tell us all about that?
So this is where we can pick our nose and stuff, because no one's looking.
That's right. No one can see us now. We can do whatever we want.
Brendan, put it back away. No. So this is a shot. I left Stanley after my photo shoot on the weekend at 3:30 in the morning to be able to get to Lake Sinclair to catch the first ferry out to go meet my group and have a bit of a walk. And I got it's 4 hours, which is ridiculous. I got about 3/4 of the way through, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I should have just stayed in bed. They should have got their own way home. I was over it. But I got around this corner, and I know there's a view of this mountain, which is called Frenchman's Cap. And it just timed it nicely that the sun was just coming up, starting to hit the side of that mountain. And I know there's a little car park where you can pull over. I've taken this shot a few times. And I came around the corner. It was all bathed in light, nice bit of cloud around, nice bit of sort of foreground light on the hills. So I pulled over and I got my big 150 to 400 white lens out that your friend just bought, and took a few snaps, and that's what it was. So that's sort of first light on Frenchman's Cap, which is another wonderful walk in Tassie if you're into your hiking. It's about a 3 or 4 day return walk. But yeah, it was good fun, and didn't have to do much to that. It was just that nice light, right time, gave me a break from driving, and then away we went.
How good is being out there at that hour?
Yeah.
You know, particularly when you get to see that. But when the rewards always come, I think. I don't think I've ever regretted fully getting up for a sunrise. I mean, it's drag your ass out of bed. It can be tough. It does suck.
It sucks. And you're right, though. Like, it's very rare that you get up and make a big effort and get there and go, this is shit. So most of the time you've done a bit of research on the weather the day before, or you sort of know where you're going. I had no plans to do this shot. I knew the sun was going to come up at some stage when I was driving down that west coast, and I was just lucky. I was just timing it there, but it could have been 100 k's back up the road. But yeah, it sucks getting up, and you suffer for it for the rest of the day. But when you get a nice photo like that, you're pretty happy.
It exactly makes it all worthwhile. Would you like to see my photo of the week, Cameron?
I have a feeling we do. Yes.
Okay. Well,
chuck it up.
There it is right there. See, look, I'm pointing. That means something's got to appear.
That means we can pick our nose again.
You can do it again if you like.
Yeah.
So this is the Mallee. I mean, I'm very biased towards the Mallee area, similar to like you are in Tassie. Like I was brought up in this area. I love it. I love it because it's so different, and I don't think there's any other landscapes quite like it in Australia. And I went up there to try and scout an extra location because when we were in the Mallee a couple of years ago, we had one failure, and that was Lake Touchy, which I still stand by. I think Touchy is a fantastic location. We just didn't get great conditions. So what we needed was a good backup, and I found one. So those of you who are coming on the Mallee workshop with us, which is only in 2 weeks' time, if it's blowing a bit windy, we'll be going to this spot instead of Touchy. So this is just out of Naya West. So it's the other direction from Touchy.
The world famous Naya West.
Oh, absolutely. Like this is literally 15 minutes out from Naya West, and literally off the side of the road. And it's a mini Lake Tyrrell, if you like. So what you're looking at there in the foreground, this is my ultra wide. So this is using the 7-14. It's literally sitting on the sand that is salt encrusted sand that you can see in the foreground there. So, and then the dead trees on the salt pan. The composition pretty much made itself in this case. It was pretty obvious where I was going to shoot. And yeah, we got a very plain sunset, but it sort of added a bit to the starkness. There was no cloud around, and it was a bit breezy. So it sort of warranted going here instead of where I was headed, which was back towards Boga and Touchy. So
yeah, you love Touchy.
Oh, Touchy awesome.
You're obsessed with Touchy.
Absolutely. I love saying it. I love being there. There's nothing like a Mallee sunset, mate, and that's proof right there.
It's got Namibia vibes about it, this shot.
It does. Yeah. It has Susafly vibes about it. That's right.
What? What?
Susafly. It's a dune area in Namibia. It's
also, that's what it's called, is it?
Yeah, it's called the dead fly or Susafly, and it's where you'll find June 45, which is an awesome place. I've been there. Wow. Great spot.
When did you go to Namibia?
I went to Namibia in 2003. I went over for the Cricket World Cup, and in 2003, did South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe.
Don't remember that at all.
No, I didn't know you back then.
2000 and when? 2003.
It was the year before we met.
Sure, I was going to say, sure, we knew each other then, didn't we?
No, we went to, I had 7 weeks in Southern Africa. It was right on the crossover of digital and film, so I shot 80 plus rolls of film. Got some cool shots. I wish I knew then what I know now, and I wish I had then what I have now.
Yeah. Isn't it? It's a funny one, isn't it? You look back at some of your old shots, you're like, oh, that could have been an absolute cracking shot.
Yeah.
If I just knew now what I knew back then.
Yeah. Look, I would dearly love to go back. Fun fact: the Cricket World Cup is back in Africa.
Funny you say that, because our next workshop coming up next year is Namibia.
Right. Okay, great. So book now. There's a link in the description.
Come to Namibia. You pay for us to go, and we'll teach you how to take some half decent shots of June 45.
We'll teach you, but we'll be at the Cricket World Cup in between. So hopefully you don't mind. It is actually back in South Africa. So
right.
It would be good.
Look at our brains going.
Hang on a minute. Did we just hatch a plan?
Did we just hatch a plan for us to go to the World Cup cricket and get people to pay for us to go there by taking photos or something else?
Comment below if you would like to.
If you want to go to Namibia and maybe watch a cricket match, Mel will be in it. Mel will be in it. He'll watch cricket.
I think it's I could be wrong, but I think I want to say March 2027. Well, maybe.
Mel's in the cricket. Shazza, she'll be in the cricket.
Oh, mate, we've got two bums on seats as well.
Who else? Tanina and Joe, they love their sport.
They love their sport, mate. We've basically got this thing.
So we've got 2 spots left, folks.
Yeah.
Hey, funny you're saying about this is completely off topic, as we do.
Yes.
Today, Cheryl and John, who went on the overland track, are still down here in Hobart, and they went to the Mona Art Gallery.
Very good.
And we had a really great conversation afterwards about art, and it's probably a topic for another day, but how that sort of shock art at Mona Art Gallery, which is the Modern Museum of Art in Tassie, how that shock art sort of compares to photography, and is there sort of like, we've got some sort of shock art and photography with some the war photography and street and disaster photography and stuff like that. But it was a really interesting conversation about how art differs, and like they got certain things down there that are just completely weird, but they shock you into taking the time to look at it. And we just had a good chat. So I mean, it might be another topic for another day about different types of art and, how that affects your emotions and and stuff
I
like
think
that.
some of the all-time greatest, particularly journalistic photography,
Mm,
is are shocking, like
yes.
shocking to look at. So, but incredible imagery and timing and all that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
again, I guess that's the differentiation, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
right place, right time,
Well, it
capturing
is.
with the skills you've got versus actually
Yeah.
creating something and taking the time to paint it. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
we're talking as well. Like the reason it came up because Cheryl asked me, like, oh, your photos, like they're emotive, like the landscapes. I'm like, really? Like they're not shockingly emotive, unless it was like a big bushfire or a massive
that's right,
storm or
right.
something like that. But
Yeah.
it's harder for photographers to maybe shock people into staring at their photo in awe and getting emotional about it, where
Yeah. Oh,
there's
definitely
other
for
options.
landscape,
For
100% for
landscape, it's
landscape.
really
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah. No, it's
Um,
no, impossible. But
yeah. But
but
then, like you said, street photography or
yeah,
journalistic photography.
yeah, and
Yeah. Anyway.
still life portraiture.
Yeah.
That can be quite easily set up to shock if you
Yeah.
if you wanted
Yeah.
to. There's a challenge for you.
Yeah.
Shock us next
Anyway,
week,
that
Cameron.
was
Your
just
photo of
that.
the week next week will shock us.
Okay.
Challenge.
I'll be in Melbourne this weekend taking some photos, so it could be interesting.
All right. We may yet cross paths at the MCG, but we'll see.
I got a bug to pick about something on the weekend too.
Go.
I bought a new lens,
Yes.
and it's a
You
new
stop
lens.
buying gear. You have
Well,
got gear acquisition syndrome, my
I
friend.
know. So I bought a lens. I'm not gonna mention what brand it is,
Okay.
or what it is.
Okay.
But I'm going to take it on the weekend with me. This lens has the worst chromatic aberration
Well,
I have seen on a lens in a long, 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 long
is
time.
this a new release from a certain company that shall remain nameless?
It is that exact. Yes.
Not known for their chromatic aberration.
No.
In fact, quite the opposite.
I was taking photos at that really flash place I stayed with on the weekend, and I had purple fringing everywhere. So,
Hey,
oy, and
as
that's
Krusty the
really
Clown
hard to
would
get
say,
rid of.
that's no good at all.
Yeah, we're going way off topic. What are we talking about?
I don't know. Oh, Michael Wilson. I want to talk about
Oh,
Michael
yeah,
Wilson.
that's it.
I
Tell
want
me
to.
all about.
Well, there was a couple of points that he made, and one of them really stood out, and a couple of people commented about it in the comments. He wasn't afraid to give up his settings, which
Yeah.
I really like. I admire that. I think that's great. Some people, when they get asked directly, what settings did you use for that photo? They shy away from it. Then, well, go and work it out for yourself. Like I had to put
Yeah.
the work in to find out. Michael was happy to do
There's
it.
a word for those kind of people.
Yes.
They're wankers.
Michael was happy to divulge all the information. And one thing that he said that stood out was that he shoots the majority of his, particularly AFL shots, at 5,000 ISO.
Yes, I remember that bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and even I sort of raised my eyebrows. I knew you had to shoot at high ISOs.
Yeah.
5,000 is out there. That is
Yeah.
high ISO. And then we went into discussion about the gear that he shoots, and he shoots with the Canon R3, which is basically their flagship.
Two of them, doesn't he? He has two of them, doesn't
Yes,
he?
two.
Yeah.
He has 3 cameras total, but 2
Yeah.
R3s. And I did the math as well on that, by the way. Michael basically carries nigh on 50 grand of gear into the MCG or into any footy ground which is
So now
amazing.
he's going to get mugged thanks to you. You
That's
idiot.
Michael Wilson, W-I.
And his face looks like this. Yeah.
Yeah. So where was I going with it? Yeah. So, and we circle back to the fact that nowadays the tolerance for noise in particular on full frame mirrorless cameras has gotten to a point where shooting 5,000 ISO is more than acceptable. And talk about, having the right tool for the job. That sort of, at first I was sort of shocked by it. And then I was like, well, of course you do, because you need to keep your shutter speed up to a minimum 1,000th of a second.
That's right. He needs to freeze that action, doesn't he? Yeah.
Correct. And he's working under floodlights.
Yeah.
So, he's shooting on a 600mm f4 lens. What a piece of kit. That's a $20,000 lens, just by the way. And which doesn't matter, whatever. That's the tools of the trade. If you're good
Which
at
is
what
now
you do,
going to
you
get
have the
ripped
right
off as
tools.
he walks into the G this weekend.
He's actually at work as we speak. I saw him on the coverage before.
Right, yeah.
So the tolerance now that you've got a shooting at such high shutter speeds, he was very, very high ISOs for those high shutter speeds. He was very grateful for. So it got me thinking about shooting at high ISOs. And I was actually down on the beach last night with my daughter, who's home for very short.
She's back. Yes.
Back for a week or so.
Yeah.
And we had Buddy the Wonder Dog down there, and Buddy was running through the surf, and I decided to test it. And I thought, okay, let's shoot at 5,000 ISO. So I cranked my shutter speed, my ISO to 5,000 ISO, and it gave me a 1/2000th of a second shutter speed.
Yeah. Perfect.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It worked really, really well. And then it was like, okay, well, what are you doing with these images? Well, again, we're sharing them on Instagram. We're putting them on Facebook. We're flicking them to some, hey, Cam, check out this photo. It goes to your phone.
Yeah.
You're not going to zoom in and see that it's a wee bit grainy. And you know what?
No.
It actually wasn't that bad. That was on the company that shouldn't be mentioned, EM1X.
Yeah.
Just with that awesome 100 to 400. I love that combo. And it gave me the right results. So the point I'm making here is, folks, don't be afraid to crank that ISO and just see what it can do for you. It might really open some doors that you thought might have been closed off to you in the past, particularly when it comes to wildlife. So birds in particular, sports of all kinds. You know, cricket season's wrapping up, footy season's kicking off. If you're in the UK, if you're in the US, I'm sure you can find a sport that you can go or if you wherever you are around the world, I'm sure you can go and find a local sport field to give this a go. Cannot recommend it enough. And as I say, people have probably been shying away from doing it because they think that you can't shoot at those ISO levels these days.
Now, there is a lot of myths out there, isn't it, about ISO? And in my experience, a lot of it stems back from just people talking to other people in clubs and, you know, online and forums and stuff like that. Oh, you don't want noise, the ISO, you've got to keep it down. But really, the cameras these days and the noise reduction tools we've got are bloody amazing. So I today, same thing. I went to Mona, the art gallery, and I took my camera. I put on auto ISO and shot at, you know, if it's a pretty dark gallery and stuff like that, but I shot at F2 ISO auto just so I can get the shutter speeds. Yes, okay, they may be a bit grainy if I want to blow them up huge, but for, like you said, for what we're using them for, no one cares. So people need to let go of these sort of hard, fast rules that they've been told they need to stick to and bend them a bit. Like you said, you know, you might be missing opportunities without doing that. You know, you might, you know, sometimes you'll be at the beach and something happens, like a cool pelican comes in the land or something like that. And, you know, you're stuffing around with your photos and you use the, you know, keep that ISO low and you get this blurry pelican. Well, now if you crank it up, you can probably get that shutter speed and get a great shot. So yeah, it was good. I listened to the interview as I was driving up to the Northwest the other day with you guys. And it was funny. Because I'm part of the show sometimes now. I was listening to the show and I'm like, Brendan, just ask him if it's JPEG or RAW, please. Ask him. Yeah. And I'm driving along like, come on, dude, ask him about JPEG and RAW. And then all of a sudden you did. I'm like, cool, he shoots JPEG. I like that. That's another great tip of he needs to get those images out real quick and stuff like that. Something I would have been interested in asking him, I don't think you did, but like you said, he's working on the floodlights and there's all the other lights around there. Is there any flickering issues or any sort of blackouts and stuff like that happen? But I think the cameras are a bit above that now and the lights are a bit better there as well. But
I think
they'd have to be for broadcast too, wouldn't they?
Yes,
I imagine
that's correct. So LED now is a lot better. And in fact, the MCG have just upgraded all of their lighting. And so it's probably like this year. So it's probably even better again now. More digital signage around, bigger screens. The lights are now proper LED. So, it was interesting. You did talk about color temperature and white balance because he does shoot JPEG, so he does have to set all that up and make sure that it's right. I found that really fascinating that it's JPEG only. I assumed it was JPEG only because of his workflow. But you know, I was like, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, geez, some of these photos, like he probably would have liked to have a bit more control over in the edit. But the fact is he's working to the AFL. You know, and he doesn't even own the photos, as he mentioned. He doesn't have the copyright to them. He doesn't own it. The AFL do. Which is kind of interesting for a photographer, isn't it? Like, and I get it. There's working photographers all over the world, but to feel like you don't actually own what you've just created, and you've just got to look at it as a job and you get a paycheck for it.
Well, that's the thing. Like you were talking about that is it Taylor Harris?
Yes.
That's the classic shot. Like that, like you said, that shot went viral for all good and bad reasons.
Around the world,
Around the world. But, you know, if that was an independent photographer taking that shot, he could have sold it for a truckload of money to the outlets.
Absolutely.
And, so it's a credit to him that his passion's in his job and not necessarily in trying to make the most money out of all of his photographs. But
and a little footnote to that Taylor Harris photo is that photo has now been turned into a statue. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's
I have
actually
seen that. Yes,
a
that's at the
statue.
G, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
and that's which is just incredible. Like to have your photo. Yeah. Anyway, that was So it was great. I could have spoken to him for another hour. I really enjoyed it, and his passion for the job really came through. And like he kept saying, he's got to kick himself. Like when he gets onto the MC, he's like, "This is what I do. This is
what I do." Yeah,
pretty.
And
pretty
the other
cool.
thing, I thought was really humbling about him as well is just his just his overall passion for what he does. Like, he's worked himself up from the bottom up to the top now, being the chief photographer. And like you said, he pinches himself about the job he does, but he seems just like everyday kind of guy. He just loves what he does. He gets to see footy all the time. I think it was interesting when he said that, and I think we're a bit the same as well. If you and I went and took shots of footy or cricket, we'd have a bit of an idea of how the play is going to go.
Yeah.
But just how important that is to get those great shots, being able to know where the ball's going to land or where they're going to mark it or where a catch is going to get taken to get those cracking shots. Like, there's a real skill in that.
Yeah, there is. And and I find when you take amateurs to photograph any local sport, they get caught ball watching.
Yeah.
So it's that predicting of where the ball's going to be, not where it is, because then you give yourself that extra few seconds to set up, to focus, to compose a shot. Yeah. And yes, you really literally have got 3 or 4 seconds, but it can make all the difference. So,
totally.
And the other thing that I found fascinating was, and he sort of begrudgingly said, yes, I can only pick one spot.
Yeah.
And if that action happens right in front of me, fantastic.
If it's on the other side or something,
The amount of times he's just gone, I wish I was on the other wing or in the goal square or wherever it was, So it was good fun.
That's like us chasing lightning. You'd be pointing one way, trying to get this amazing lightning shot. Now here, like the greatest lightning strike of all time happens off to the left, and
yes,
that's it. That's the game, isn't it? Really, but
no, that's exactly
it was
right.
great. It was a good interview, and like I said, he seemed like a lovely guy. He's got some incredible work, and Now you just got to get us on the G.
Well, working on it. If you didn't catch the interview, there's a card there for it. Go and click on that.
There's no card there. I haven't seen a card on any episodes.
Card just there. It works.
Is it?
It is, absolutely. So, which leads me on to the next sort of topic of conversation. I was thinking about this, and people talk to me a lot about the right tools for the job particularly when we're talking about photography. We've talked about this before on the show, maybe a long time ago, and it's a good time to bring it back up because you were talking about art, and I actually think photography is one of the only arts, and I use arts in inverted commas, but I call it an art. Some people don't, but anyway, that's another story for another day. It's one of the only arts where you can get away with the wrong tools. And what I mean by that is quite often you would have been in this situation. I definitely have, and people I've spoken to have. You choose a lens and you go out to take photos, and then you realize very quickly that you probably should have bought a different lens. However, you work with exactly what you've got, and you make that work instead of just throwing your hands in there, give up, and you keep plowing ahead. And for me, that's the times when I, for some reason, have got some of my best images.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what the magic formula is that makes me end up with great images doing it that way, but for some reason it tends to.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about what the right tools for the job are, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to own all the gear. Like you, Cameron. Stop it.
I was going to say, really? Shit. I'm going to start getting rid of some of mine.
Okay, and you see, and we see it a lot on workshops where people, they bring that backpack and it's got 18 lenses in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? And you go, right, that's out. These are the two.
The other one that's really interesting with that as well, they have like 18 lenses in the bag, but they still ask which one they should be using.
Yes.
Like, to me, if you've got all that gear, you should say, this is a wide angle issue. This is a telephoto. But
I think it's one of the things you should focus your attention on early doors. If you're new to the caper and you're listening to us, early on, and you just want to get into your photography, here's a Down South Photo Show top tip: get 3 lenses at the most. 2 would be ideal. And work out what they do, and work out what they do, what they do for you, and just work with those and work within the parameters of those lenses. I guarantee you it'll help you become a better photographer.
And going back on what you said as well, like some of the best or better shots you've got have been in those moments where you're like, oh, it's not the right lens, but hey, I'm here. I think it's a mindset thing. I think by having that moment where you're like, oh, I really need that telephoto, but I don't have it, it clears the slate. It clears the slate of your head. Your brain just goes, well, that's out. That option's out altogether. So then automatically you start looking at fresh options straight away. And I think that's sometimes when your brain works best, is when it's not under the pressure that it thought it was there for, when it's sort of spontaneously trying to find a shot. And if the light's good and, you've got the right composition and you've got something you can play with, then, like you said, you'll get some great shots, even if it is the wrong lens. So, yeah, you're right. You can have the wrong tools and still get away with it.
Yeah.
Same with tripods. I don't know how many times I've got to it's gone out to a location to do a sunset. I'm like, oh, gee, I don't have my, don't have my quick release thing for my tripod. Awesome. What am I doing here? Okay, well, you find something else to do. You put a brighter lens on and your hand hold something, or you find a rock or something. But yeah, that's interesting.
No, absolutely. And so here we go. Question without notice. Gun to your head, 2 lenses. What do you have? What do you take?
2 lenses. I would take 16 to 35 and something like a 70 to 200.
Yep.
That for what I do. Well, pretty much for anything really.
Yep.
Like if I look at what I did on the weekend, I was doing like these Airbnb and these property shoots. It was wide angle, or it was a 50mm just for those detailed shots. With all the chromatic aberration on. Or if it's something like, if I'm hiking landscaping, it's wide angle with something like a small telephoto. If I'm doing a wedding, it's wide angle telephoto. So yeah, you can probably cover that 16 to 35, 70 to 200, and then chuck a little 50 in your pocket and don't tell Brendan that there's a third lens, and you're good.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, for me, 7 to 14 and 100 to 400 are the 2 lenses that I have been. So went on to the Mally, as I said last week. They were the 2 lenses I took. I took those 2 lenses.
So
and an
why don't we set ourselves a challenge for the Mally workshop?
Absolutely. Done. I'm in already, because it's my gear as it stands.
Remember the Tark on the cradle, I did all black and white.
Black and white.
So this Murray Mally workshop, I'm going to bring 1 lens.
Okay. What are you going to bring?
Don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring a 16 to 400.
If it came down to 1 lens.
It came down to 1 lens. Yeah.
For example, if I was doing the Overland again, without a shadow of a doubt, that Olympus 12 to 200 would. And I know it's much maligned. I don't understand why people bag the crap out of that lens. I kind of do. The build quality is not great, but you're not paying for. It's a $600 lens. Brand new, it's $599. Get out of town, and you've got 24 to 400 mil at your disposal.
Yeah.
I adore that lens. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And
if I could have 1 lens, if I bring that 1 lens for Murray Mally, it's going to be tricky, but I'd almost go something like a 35 or 50mm fixed.
Yeah. I mean that would be classic. That'd be classic, wouldn't it? I mean, and that's old school. That's back in the day when people had 35mm lenses and 50mm lenses. That was it.
Speaking of the Murray Mally workshop, I haven't booked any flights yet. When are we going?
Just swim over.
When are we going? We're going soon, aren't we?
I think I need to meet you in Melbourne on the 27th. So that is pretty soon. Yeah, that's right. Don't do it now. You're on air.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. There's flights there. I got $100 flight.
Hey, there you go.
Cheap as shit.
That's what we do. That's what we do here on the Down South Photo Show. Look, with that in mind, we know it's very short notice, and we're only 2 weeks before we go. Hey, if you want to come up to the Mally and take some awesome photos like the one you saw before, and heaps of others,
and watch Cam struggle with 1 lens for 5 days.
So what body?
Well,
OM3. Hello. Wow, he's gone cold on him again. Did you have a love-hate relationship with that company?
I don't know what it is. I like this little 50mm lens, 25mm lens.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on the camera. I put it on the OM3. I'm like, that feels great. This is the kind of lens that needs to go on there. Took a couple of shots with it. I'm like, that's disappointing.
That is a bummer, isn't it?
That is. So, look, I don't know. I'll have a think about what I bring. If I was going to bring like a fixed focus lens, like a 35mm, I'll probably bring the Leica and just sit on that the whole time.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let's see what happens. We'll see. I'll surprise everyone. So whoever hasn't, the two people that haven't booked yet,
Yeah.
they'll be surprised when they do book. And
Find out that Cam's taking one lens.
yeah, taking one lens. Yeah.
Yeah. Lake Tyrrell at the moment is amazing. It's just I've never seen it so dry up there. But it has its own vibe about it. It's a very, very cool place. So
yeah,
Lake Tyrrell is one of the awesome places that we visit on the Mallee Workshop. Anyway, that's not for that.
We're not playing golf after that one, are we?
One of us can't play golf at the moment.
Oh, that's right. You can't either. Yes. No. I probably shouldn't either, but anyway.
So I reckon I'll be ready for golf in the end of April. So
okay.
So the next time we'll play golf will be Great Ocean Road Workshop.
Well,
we need to work that out. We'll do that.
Is there any places left on that one?
I don't know. Yes, one, two.
It's on the run sheet.
Sorry, there's 2 places left on that one.
2 places left on the Great Ocean Road, May 19 to 23.
I'm not doing well on the plug tonight, am I?
Tark on the Cradle, which is 15th of August to 20th of August. There is 3 spots left on that.
Thank you, Cameron.
Yeah. You idiot. But there's a couple of spots left on most of them. Get on one of those. Come and have a bit of a laugh with us. Come take some nice photos.
Yep.
We'll talk shop. You can tell us what you don't like or do like. We'll tell you how to fix it. Whatever.
You can give us live feedback on the podcast. Dear Cam is back for this week.
Right, yeah.
Are you ready for this one?
Maybe
Did you know it was on the run sheet? I mean,
I didn't look.
Dear Cam. This is from Craig in Lakes Entrance. Hello, Craig. Lakes Entrance. There's a nice part of the world. Pelicans. You mentioned them before. They're everywhere.
There's lots of pelicans down there. Yeah.
G'day,
and a long
lads.
beach.
G'day, lads. Not even a dear Cam. Get it? G'day, lads. Maybe an opinion more than a dear Cam question.
We don't like opinions on this show.
No, not at all. Not that we go looking for it. But maybe a dear Cam question. Maybe. Can I start that again?
Did you read this one?
Maybe an opinion more than a dear Cam question, but why do some photographers post photos to social media in over than necessary resolutions? Okay, I get it. A guy I follow on Facebook seems to post his photos in almost full resolution, definitely big enough to make a print from. Why would he do this when people can help themselves to the image and make a print? Thanks, Craig from Lakes Entrance.
Well, I'm going to call Craig out.
This is an interesting...
How does he know the resolution unless he's already downloaded it and checked that there's the resolution?
I have no doubt.
Craig, stop ripping people's images off and printing them, Craig.
Yeah, come on, Craig.
That's an interesting one.
Craig said he's got a gallery there with heaps of people's photos in it. That's weird.
Come and visit Craig's gallery where he's got everyone else's images.
That's right.
I would say, like, some people, I don't think realize they do it. I think some people just export and don't realize they can change the resolution size and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other people maybe do it just to show off what sort of resolution they can get out of a camera. But I would say in most cases, it's probably just by mistake.
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think people mean to do it. I mean, if you're a bit time poor, I've been known to post images in pretty high res.
I've printed them all.
Yeah, awesome. They're hanging up and behind you there. Yeah, but from my understanding, and I might have to do a bit more research on this, but I thought Facebook would resize them anyway.
They do compress. Yeah. Instagram definitely compresses.
Right. So you'd get better resolution on some than others when you download them.
Or places like Flickr, you can upload high res.
That's right.
Things like that. So whether or not you can download them all, maybe this person who he's following on Facebook wants to try and get some prints done and he doesn't want to pay for them. So he's just...
That's right. Just get someone else.
Other people to pay for them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's not as looking as he done.
The other part of my answer to this, I know it's dear Cam, but I'm answering it anyway.
It's dear lads.
Is who cares? I mean, really, who is going... If someone downloads it and makes a print, good luck to them. I mean, I don't... Yeah, I don't see that it's that big a deal as some people make out. Okay, it might be theft, but unless they're selling them, well, it is theft. But unless they're selling them, like, if they do what you said, open a gallery and start selling your photos, you're going to find out.
Yeah, well, maybe.
So,
I'm just going on to Brendan Waite's photography here and just downloading all my new images for the next few weeks.
They're all in high res there, that's for sure.
Yeah. I guess, what's it matter? Like, unless you're trying to do something dodgy, it really shouldn't really interest you anyway. But again, it comes down to, I think, a bit of a lack of maybe understanding of what they're doing. It's one of the big questions I get asked with a lot of, especially with camera club talks I do, is like, what resolution do you upload your images to? to online. And usually mine are just sort of no more than 5 meg, 1600 biggest length on the side. And that's usually okay for most social media, but it is a confusing point. What I would probably suggest to Craig's friend, though, is that if you really want to make your photos stand out on Facebook at full resolution, make sure you put a big ass bloody, like, what do you call it? A watermark right in the middle of it, because that's definitely going to get people downloading your images.
Everyone loves that, don't they?
Oh, like a hole in the head. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, more an opinion maybe. That's a good little topic.
Yeah. Yeah, as I say, I don't really mind. It doesn't worry me either way. But I'm not about to post them in original resolution. Like, no, you're not going to be able to access them.
Just go re-edit them a little bit, then it's yours.
Run it through Gigapixel.
God, are we just giving people options here to rip people's work off?
Are we aiding and abetting now?
I think we are. We went 1 minute we're against, the next minute like, yeah, go for it. And this is how you do it properly.
Now we had a guest on the show last week, so we didn't do beer donations for last week. Now, beer donations, what are they? Well, if you go over to www.dsps.com.au, dsps.com.au, you can click on our ugly little heads at the top there, and if you want to, you can buy us a beer. You can buy us a beer, you can buy us both a beer, or you can buy us a slab, as we call it here in Victoria, in Tasmania, or you can buy us a box, a case, yeah. Carton, a box. Yeah.
What do they call it in America? It's a case?
Case
of beer.
Case of beer, yeah.
It's funny, Americans, it's all going to shit over there, as we know, so let's not talk about it too much. But I was just down at Salamanca before, down at Hobart here, and one of the guys from the Overland Track sparking up a conversation with some strangers that were at the bar with him. And I went down to say goodbye to him, and he's talking away, and they're trying to find the directions around Hobart where south and north was. Drunken conversation. And this lady started talking. I said, oh, well, you're from America. You would know what direction it is anyway. And she's like, Canada. I'm not from America. I'm from Canada. I said, America, the 51st state. And boy, I almost got glassed.
Yes.
And I said, 51st state, 50% tariffs. It all goes well together.
That's right.
Then I left really quickly.
I would have. Did you leave those people to come and record the podcast?
Yeah, I did actually.
I'm impressed. Remember, mate,
yeah, I had a pint of hard solo, which was bought by Cheryl. Bought me a beer, a drink.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Like
Thank you, Cheryl. She's still doing that.
I'm gonna call her out. Can I embarrass her?
Sure. She doesn't listen.
No, she doesn't listen this far. So I had to do all her washing today. So she's come off the Overland Track and she's staying at an Airbnb down the road there. Doesn't have a washing machine. Apparently doesn't have a washing machine.
Sure it doesn't.
So I rock up today and there's a dry bag full of dirty Overland Track clothes ready to be washed. So I've done more washing today than I've done in the whole year for my whole family.
Mate, what kind of service do you offer? That's amazing.
I folded it. I didn't press it, but I folded it and I dried it. And...
If you would like Cameron to wash your underpants, please send us in a Dear Cam question.
Don't send the pants in. Just send a question in.
Please
don't. Yes.
The following people that Cameron are about to read out have donated us beer over the last 2 weeks. Go ahead.
Paul C. Congratulations,
cool.
Paul. I'm buying us a beer. I'm going from the other end, C.
Yeah, that's good.
Anne B. I think that's Anne Bonza.
It's Anne B.
Anne B. Oh, Anne B. That's Ladie. This guy's got a weird name. Alan Slab. That's weird.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
That was Lee D, by the way, not Lee D.
Lee D.
And
Alan bought us a slab.
And where's Alan from? I mentioned him in the show last week. Where's Alan from?
Jesus, I don't know.
Do you remember? No, close. Tangambalanga.
Oh, Jesus. These names up in the Mallee.
No, this is not the Mallee. This is Tangambalanga's Albury Way.
Same thing.
They're
indigenous names, surely.
Tangambalanga, it must be. I don't know.
And Touchy Wop?
Touchy Wop's definitely indigenous.
What do you know what it means, the indigenous meaning of it?
No. I know the double... okay, please don't send me letters, but as far as I know, if a place name has a double O in it, in indigenous language, it means water, yes. Yeah. So,
how do you spell Touchy Wop?
Malulabar, etc.
How do you spell Touchy Wop?
Tuchewop, I believe. Yeah. Oh, it might be one O. I see now, because it'd be Touchy Whoop otherwise.
Touchy Whoop? Like Touchy, Tuttchewop.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just
I left out a T, I added an O.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there you go. The drives, that's from the indigenous Wemba language, which
Yep.
is derived from Kuchiwap,
Yep.
which is a wetlands.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go.
Makes
Indigenous
sense.
origin location.
Makes sense.
It does
couple
say here,
more.
sorry, down the bottom. Sorry, it does
Yes,
say down
you're
here
right.
at the
No,
bottom.
that's fine.
If windy, don't go.
Yes, that's right.
It's an indigenous language, which sort of
That's
says.
yeah.
It's
It's
touchy.
actually indigenous for shit photo location.
It's indigenous for don't bother. Oh shit. Okay, Alan, thank you for the slab. Suan, and Mallory ×2. Mel's bought us 2 beers.
Which would probably make it 4 by now. There's 2 beer donations. So thank you.
2 beer donations. So thanks, Mel. You made me cry with that touchy what means shit location.
Indigenous for shit photo location.
We're going to get letters after that, aren't we? You know something we
Probably.
don't do? We don't do on the start of our podcast. You know, we record this on the lands of whichever people they are and
Yes.
pay our respects. We obviously do pay our respects and
yes,
all the past, present, and emerging, all that kind of stuff. But
I don't think we need to say it every episode. Can we say it once a year? Is that enough?
Well, I think it's just implied.
It's implied. I like that. Very good. Now,
this is our last episode ever.
Yeah, that's right. We're taking off the air after this. Speaking of, excuse me, we want to make some changes to the Down South Photo Show, people. And we have asked before on social media for input, but we're asking again.
We didn't listen.
What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like us to talk about on the show? Is there something you'd like us to revisit? Is there a new segment you would like? Any of those, please comment below. Go over to a YouTube and comment below the video on YouTube, please, if you've listened this far in this episode. We want a refresher. We're 100 and getting up to 160 episodes old. So my mate Marcus has written us and performed on the electric guitar a jingle.
Really?
Yes, which I may roll out as early as next week.
Right. About the show or just something else?
Oh well, he said I've written you a. No, he just it's just a theme.
I know your mate, Marcus.
Yes,
and I'm worried about what that theme could be.
He is quite handy on the axe.
Right.
Yeah, so
I actually learnt a Green Day song today. I've had a productive day.
You have, haven't you? You've been washing underwear and learning Green Day songs.
No, there was no underwear in there. This is really embarrassing for not me. That was left out apparently.
Okay.
Yep. Why are we talking about women's underwear on this show?
I don't know.
And dirty women's underwear.
That's
no
enough.
one listens this far. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. This has been very loose this episode. That's okay. First one back in a while.
Maybe that's our new direction. Just be completely loose.
What have you got coming up this week, Cameron?
I'm off to Melbourne. I'm off to Melbourne in a couple of days for the OM Day, which is a Melbourne day.
What time does that start?
1 o'clock to 7 o'clock, I think it is.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's an OM day put on by the OM Systems company that make a lot of great equipment. Some not so good, but they make some great equipment. They've got some talks. They've got some of the ambassadors coming to have a chat. They're doing a photo walk around the Yarra there. And so I'm going up there to check it out. And then probably I might go do a bit of a photo walk around the city on my own or something and take some photos and do stuff.
Well, if you want to break away from it, I'll with the MCG. So
in 35-degree heat. No thanks.
I think it's only meant to be 26 or something anyway. Also Grand Prix weekend in Melbourne. So
yeah, trying to get accommodation up there was hard.
There will be a lot of people in Melbourne. There will be very little parking, but that's fine. We'll work it out.
A public transport going to do what they did at the Green Day concert and shut all the lines down and do buses instead?
Sure, why not? Why better time than when the Grand Prix is on?
Yeah. There's a topic, photographing Grand Prix cars. Have you ever done that?
I've photographed V8 supercars, not F1. Not F1. That would be, talk about 5,000 ISO. Woo.
Yeah, F1's hard, and you got the big gate in the way, the fence in the way. So,
we could probably manage. Are we still on air? Well, we could probably manage to get a F1 photographer. Actually, that could be.
Is anyone listening? Hello.
That's right.
I reckon we can get Dino Ricciardo.
Sure, I know him. I've got his number in my phone. Anything more to add tonight, Mr. Blake?
I think I've added more than enough. It's been a very loose. It's this problem. That's what it is. See, I haven't been drinking for a while. I have one beer and I'm off my head.
This has been episode 156 of the Down South Photo Show. We will see you for episode 157 in the next week. So, bye for now.
Oh, okay. Say goodbye, Cameron. Bye.
Say goodbye, Cameron.
Bye.